Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV, and I'm joined by Bernard Dineen from the Citizen channel for the last episode of our Premier League preview, where we're looking at all the teams that are in the Premier League and having a quick look to see what they did last.
These are our bottom four.
They're not our bottom four, they're our last four. Actually, if one of these is in our bottom four, I'll be very chuffed, but I'll let you know who that is in a minute. But these are the teams that we're going to have a quick look at what they did last season, ins and outs in the summer, and what we think they'll do in the coming season. And we are going to start with Premier League new boys after being relegated the previous season, Sheffield United. And give them credit, they did pretty well last season, Bernard, to get back into the Premier League. Second only to Burnley. Well, if I remember clear, well clear of the teams below them. They had a look, let's be honest, they had a cracking season. A cracking season. I think overall. So, what do you think about them actually getting promoted, Bernard, back to the Premier League? Let's start with that.
Again, you just know that they're just a bit West Bromwich, aren't they? A bit like West Bromwich Albion, a bit of a little boing team, whatever they call West Bromwich, Sheffield United. And of course, don't forget, they did it with the help of a couple of City players as well, who now no longer are there. You'll tell me about who's come in and who's come out. I don't think we've done that much, and that worries me a little bit for Sheffield United because yes, the reasonably organised, he's got them well sorted out there. But the fact they've not brought any real strength in, I don't think you'll confirm that or not. Is a bit worrying for me that they might really struggle.
Yeah, look, they finished comfortably ahead of Luton, who are third with 11 points clear of them and 10 points behind Burnley. So they did a decent season. Let's look at their ins and outs. Okay, I'm trying to focus on who the more important ones. Anis Slimani is coming from Brøndby. If you've heard any of these, well done. Yasser Larouche, I've heard of him. He's coming from Troyes, from France. But one of the Traore brothers, Benny Traore, he's coming from Hacken. Austin Trusty is coming from Arsenal. And Vinicius Souza is coming from Lommel.
Vinicius Junior?
Sorry?
Vinicius Junior, did you say?
Vinicius Souza is coming from Lommel. Do you know who Lommel are? Lommel SK. No, you never. That's just
say again.
Lommel SK.
Lommel SK. Sound Scandinavian.
Belgium, if I'm right. And it's one of City's feeder clubs. Sorry,
okay.
Part of the CFG. It's one of our boys. Anyway, wow. Not heard of many of them.
They've lost ND. Have they centre forward? ND.
All right. They lost Sanderberg, who's gone to Burnley. I think that's a miss. They lost Ndai, who's gone to Marseille. And I think a few players have been released, like Billy Sharp, Ender Stevens, Kieran Gordon, Jack O'Connell, to be honest.
Do they not want to spend the Premier League money, these teams? Or is someone just putting it into a bank account somewhere?
I think sometimes, obviously, they've got to pay the players more, but they're getting a lot more money from the Premier League, TV rights and everything else. But I think some of them worry, because if you spend too much money trying to stay in the Premier League and then you go down, it can hurt you and you can keep going down because, you spend too much money. So I think sometimes they just want to keep it, hope to stay in, and then maybe the second season they'll spend the money. Sheff United saw what happened last time. They had a good season, then got relegated. Maybe they're just going to be happy to stay there. But what do you see happening to them this season, Bernard?
I think they'll struggle, mate. I do think they'll struggle. I don't think they're as strong at home as some of the other teams around about them, like Burnley and Notts Forest, Everton, who are going to be down there, based on what we've seen so far. I think Sheffield United is usually at least one get relegated of the three that come up, I would imagine. I don't know what the stats are, but there's always at least one. And even Luton, probably the favourites with the bookies. I think Sheffield is, a couple of their assets from last season weren't even their players. That's the problem. So that you kind of improve the team, etc. But you lose players and you can't really replace them. And yet, I watched that thing about Kevin Phillips, when even a team like Leeds United, who looked as though they wanted to stay in the Premier League, do all the right things, and improve the ground, extend it, etc., etc. Then you get to the boardroom, and they're worried about this. We can get this money for this guy. Yeah. Obviously, if he gets injured next week, we've lost that player. And this is the attitude. And Sheffield United look as though they've fallen into that sort of attitude where they're not really committing to too much, and hoping more than planning. To stay in the Premier League. I don't understand the logic of what they're doing, but I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And I think you're right. I've got 4 or 5 teams that I think are going to be near the bottom, and they're one of the ones that I think will be probably near the bottom. We're going to go to another club.
Not this season. Sheffield United aren't going to stay in the Premier League for too long on the way they think.
Yeah. Going to move on to a team that is, I hate them. Which is only fair because we're talking about Spurs, the original North London bottle jobbers. Spurs, who managed to finish second in a one-horse race a few seasons back in the Premier League title race when Pochettino was there. They've got rid of a serial winner in Antonio Conte, got Postecoglou that's coming as manager. Last season, they did manage to finish 8th with only 60 points. It's not great. They lost 14 games. And today, we're recording this on Thursday. We hear that a bid has been accepted from Bayern Munich of just over 100 million euros for the mercurial Harry Kane. Harry Kane hasn't agreed to the deal yet. We'll wait to see what happens. But, wow. Let's start off by saying, how do you think they did last season? And without Kane, where would they have been last season?
Poor, mate. I mean, it's they've always flattered to deceive. They didn't even do that last season, really, did they? Apart from beating us, which they always do at their place. 8th was shocking. 8th is shocking for a team of Spurs. Is ambition. Yeah. They haven't got ambition, of course. The fans think they're wonderful, and quite rightly. They've got a reasonable history. Nothing wrong with their history, and they see their other boys, the guys across the road, again reaching new peaks that they've had to put up with years ago, and they're reaching those peaks again. It is a nightmare, and they underperform. 8th is ridiculous for Spurs, especially with Harry Kane, as you said. If they lose Harry Kane, I just don't know. Who are they going to bring? Who's the guy that's going to score the goals? Maddison isn't going to score the goals from, is he? That's for sure. And they've got this. Is it Porro? But he's not.
I'll go through it. You want me to go through the ins and outs?
Yeah, please, mate. Yeah, who they added to the squad?
Okay. Dejan Kulusevski, obviously he's transferred him because I think he came on loan last season. Lucas Moura's gone.
Is he a winger?
Well, he was playing for them before, mate, for the last 2 seasons.
Right. Well, he's a winger, isn't he?
Yeah. Lucas Moura's gone. Callum Casey's gone. Let's look at some big names. Excuse me. In from Empoli, they got I can't even say his first name. Vicario. Guglielmo Vicario. Obviously, James Maddison from Leicester, you mentioned. Harry Winks has gone out. He's gone to Leicester. Manor Solomon's come in. Mickey Vanden, I can't get this right. Mickey van der Ven is coming from Wolfsburg, and Alejo Avelis is coming in from Rosaria Central. Lots of household names there. Basically, the one is, for me anyway, Maddison. He's the one that you've heard of. So,
just a lack of ambition, mate. I think, obviously they've got the chairman. He's another one that I can't stand the sight of. I'm sure Spurs fans are not overly impressed. They're just a total lack of ambition. And if Harry Kane goes, I don't know. I mean, 8 will look lovely. What 8 will look wonderful, a wonderful achievement, and hope to beat us. And that's probably what they're going to aim for.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Kane scored 30 goals last season out of the 70 in the league.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for old Erling, he would be the golden boot again, wouldn't he, last year?
But the question is, where would they have been without him? If somebody had only scored 20 goals, if they got some, let's
players like Son's not as effective without Harry Kane. No matter what, I've seen him play when Kane's not been playing. It's been okay. Don't get me wrong, but he's another one who hasn't built on what he's got. He's not progressing.
My worry is if Harry Kane scored 30 goals, let's say they got a good striker in. Let's say they got Ivan Toney, for argument's sake, who scored 20 goals for them. those 10 goals that extra 10 goals that Kane scored are probably worth at least
it's
half.
not just the goals. He does create as well. That's the thing. People don't. Some of the, we've seen enough of it at City. What he's done against us on creating as well as scoring goals. Yeah. So it'll be a big loss. And I say for a team like Spurs, it's 8th is no good. Can you see him finishing any higher based on Harry Kane going? No. Definitely not.
I think if Harry Kane goes, I think they'll struggle. But I think he needs to go for himself and for Spurs.
Oh, yeah, from this point of view, totally, yeah. I mean, I'm not a Spurs fan by any means. Not one of my favourite clubs by a long way. But
they've relied on him for too long. Yeah. He's been saving them for too long. And they need to give up, move on, get a different approach, because their approach is Harry Kane will score the goals, everything else doesn't matter. Well, that's maybe a bit flippant, but that's how it is. Now, if Kane goes, they have to sort everything else out. As I said, I hope they get relegated, but don't get everything you wish for. I think honestly, Harry Kane going, they're going to struggle. Top 10 is, I think, they might surprise us, but top 10, I think, is what.
All the teams have improved, as we know, don't we? The Newcastles of this world, not to mention teams like Brighton, Aston Villa. I mean, all these teams are improving. Improved last season. There's no reason why they can't keep up this season.
Some of them will.
Spurs are just going the other way.
Yeah. So, what do you see? Anything for them? Top 10 trophies?
No. Why break with tradition, mate? They've done sod all, and unless there's a miracle, don't look as though they're going to do anything special again.
Yeah. I mean, generations since they won the top
extra pressure, of course, with Arsenal. Finding a little bit of form. All right, they've won bugger all as well, but it doesn't.
Community Shield, mate. No. Arsenal won the Community Shield. It's a big trophy. Get it right. Right, we will move on. We've got 2 teams left. We're on the W's. We can start with West Ham United. Now, West Ham had a topsy-turvy kind of season last season where they were flirting around the bottom 3 or bottom 2 in the table. They ended up finishing 14th. They won the Europa Conference League, which qualified them for the Europa League. They finished with 40 points, 6 points clear. David Moyes plays a dour brand of football. Do you think they had a decent season last season overall?
Overall, yes, because he won something, which is more than a lot of clubs have done for a long time. But they probably lost one key player that was important to them. They're going to struggle to replace him. I know you're going to let me know who they have brought in at the moment, but I think 14th was about right for West Ham last year, and has probably been for 3 or 4 years. Although they did do very well the year before, didn't they? Yeah.
Well, was it 2 seasons they've struggled? But last season, they were obviously really, really struggling for, I think, a big chunk of the season. But Moyes managed to turn it around, and he turned it around, and then they had a bad finish to the season. So he turned it around a little bit with games like, I think they drew with Villa in March. They beat Southampton. They got battered by Newcastle. But then this is where they started turning around. They had the win at Fulham. They drew with Arsenal, and they beat Bournemouth. And I think that basically saved them, because after that, they lost to Liverpool, lost to Palace, lost to City. They beat United. Hey. Lost to Brentford, beat Leeds, and lost to Leicester. But they were only 6 points clear. So, it was tight. It was hard work, but they won that Europa Conference League. Let's go through their internats. They've lost Masuaku. He's gone to Besiktas. Lanzini's been released. Sean Moore's come in. You've probably never heard of, from Cliftonville. Obviously, Declan Rice has gone for £105 million to Arsenal. Skamaka's gone to Atlanta, so they got a bit of money in there. And Vlasic has gone to Torino, so got a bit of money there. Now, they've had bids accepted for Harry Maguire, 30 million quid. They've had a bid accepted for, I think Alvarez is coming. I think that's sorted. They had a bid for Scott McTominay, which hasn't been accepted. I think they might go back there. And they had another bid, which I've just totally forgotten who it was. I'll have a quick look now, because I did know, because I told you about them earlier on. Obviously, they might be losing Lucas Paqueta. They might be getting what's his face, Cole Palmer from City. And they got James Ward-Prowse. That's the one from Southampton. So it looks like he's coming in. They desperately need a striker because I think Antonio's palpably not good enough. So I think it could end up being a decent window if they get James Ward-Prowse over the line, Alvarez, and your other man. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, I mean, while the window's open, there's hope, isn't there? There's hope for West Ham fans. At this point in time, I'm not overly impressed. If I was a West Ham fan, I wouldn't be overly impressed with what's been going on. But as you say, while there's life in it, there's hope.
I think if they lose Paqueta and don't replace him adequately, I think if they don't get a good striker,
if you lose a player like Rice for that sort of money, you do expect irons in the fire for key players to come in, and at this point in time, they've not really achieved that, have they?
Yeah, well, to be honest, if Paqueta goes, I'll be just going to Brentford and said, here's 50 million, 60 million. We want Ivan Toney. They need a goal scorer. And yes, Toney might not be available to January, but they need a goal scorer. They've got Harry Maguire. That's who they've got. So Harry Maguire, they've got James Ward-Prowse. He's going to take free kicks. He's going to score goals from outside the box. He's going to score goals from free kicks. He's going to provide assists from free kicks. So people like Harry Maguire and whatever. So I think there's potential there. I think it's going to depend on Moyes. If he puts in another boring, grind it out season, I feel sorry for the West Ham fans. But I don't think they're going to go down. I don't think they're going to win anything. I think they'll be happy to be in the Premier League the season after, I guess. And finally, we're at the end, and we're going to talk about Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, they had a struggle last season. Lopetegui came in. Lopetegui saved them. They finished quite comfortable in 13th place with 41 points. But Lopetegui's gone. And Gary O'Neill, who was sacked by Bournemouth, is in. I think that's actually a very good appointment. But the problem with the Wolves is Lopetegui, I think, went. It was mutual decision, but I think he was brassed off with the transfer business. And we might as well hit that. So the transfer business is this. Diego Costa being released. I don't know why they got him. João Moutinho has been released. Agbola has been released. Let's look at some big names. Luke Matheson's been released. Conor Cody's been transferred to Leicester. Let's keep going. Nathan Collins has been transferred to Brentford. Hayo Kawabi's gone to Standard Liège. Dion Sanderson's gone to Birmingham. Ruben Neves has gone to Saudi Arabia, but that's going to help with their finances. Transfer in. Matt Doherty from Atletico Madrid is in. Raul Jimenez has gone to Fulham. Leo Lopez is coming from Grasshoppers. Ryan Giles has gone to Luton. Mateo Sarkic has gone to Millwall. I mean, they've lost an important player, two important players, I think in Conor Cody. Possibly Nathan Collins as well as the Raul Jimenez. And they've got Matt Doherty in.
And they brought one of the Traores has come as well. I don't know the one they got rid of.
Don't tell me about the Traore. I don't know about
the Traores appeared on their radar.
Hasn't that Traore gone? He's been released, that Traore.
I'm sure it's a different one. Because I had to look twice when I looked at it. I thought, not another one.
Look, I use the Premier League's website. Okay, the Premier League.
This was this. Who is it?
And there's just so many. There's just so many.
And Cunha, is it Cunha? Cunha, centre forward. He's supposed to come in for 50 million, so he should be all right. Cunha, 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 yeah. Okay. So, but no one we've heard of. No one that's going to think, oh well, he's a good replacement or whatever. Wolves again. I mean, the form at the end of last season, you probably got it up there. Garbage, wasn't it? I think they won one in the last 5. They were struggling towards the end, even though they say they could have easily gone. But once they got in relegation, they were fine. You know, it's as though they just took the foot off the pedal and didn't bother.
They never had a good run, apart from the early in the season where they drew 2 and lost and won 1.
They were favourites to go down at one stage, weren't they? They were really struggling.
The truth is, their longest unbeaten run, and this has got to be a worry, was 3 games. Their longest unbeaten run. But on the other hand, their longest run of consecutive defeats was only 3. So they were flip-flopping. But
Yeah.
at the end of the season, they got beat by Arsenal 5-0. Near the end of the season, got beaten by Brighton 6-0. That has got to be a worry. Lopetegui wanted reinforcements. He didn't get them. Gary O'Neill's in. Gary O'Neill showed at Bournemouth what he can achieve with players. I think is a good appointment. I think he's got places to go, Gary O'Neill. But it's going to be tough for them to stay in the Premier League next season. I've got them as a struggler. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the old saying, I think they will find 3 worse than them, but I think they will. It will be a battling season again, and as I say, he's got his hands full again, and I think it's just a hangover from what they did when they brought all the Portuguese guys in and stuff. It's just they're still suffering from that. They need to get back on an even keel as a football club and concentrate and get back doing normal things. But say they might survive this season, but they'll have to. They will have to improve at some stage or do something a little bit different again. Otherwise, they'll end up going back down. Well,
there you have it, guys. That's the last one. Thank you, Bernard, for joining me on these videos. And if you haven't seen the others, go and have a check. Some good stuff there. Bernard insults at least 6 different fan bases.
There's at least 4 fan bases.
Even Man City's a little bit as well.
Other players.
It'll be fun. But thanks a lot, Bernard. And guys, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you're notified as soon as videos come out. And if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. See you around, Blues.